The story begins in a grand old mansion where an extravagant party is in full swing. Guests in exquisite costumes indulge in luxurious food and drinks. Suddenly, a woman in an exceptionally elegant dress enters. Moving with authority, she samples the food and then her face twists in anger. Her voice cuts through the music as she demands the chef be brought to her immediately. The guests turn, startled by the outburst. When no one reacts quickly enough, she repeats her demand, louder this time. A hush falls over the room. The guests exchange uneasy glances. They know her well. She is Alicia Osline, known as Lady Frost. Whispers spread. Some murmur about her infamous temper. Others claim she has dismissed countless servants without reason. One guest even mutters that her heart is colder than a demon king's. The chef, pale and trembling, approaches as if walking to his doom. Clutching his apron, he bows deeply, stammering that he is responsible for the evening's menu. Alicia's sharp gaze bores into him as she questions his judgment in serving such food. She warns him to prepare for the consequences. Terror-stricken, he falls to his knees, pleading for mercy. The guests watch in silence, treating the scene like a performance. Some whisper that the food is delicious and that Alicia only seeks an excuse to torment someone. Without a word to the chef, Alicia turns on her heel and storms out, her steps echoing through the hall. As Alicia's words hang over the room like an execution order, Gray, with the confidence of a man who had long accepted the dangers of his employment, steps forward. He gathers the attention of the room and introduces himself with a cool demeanor. He acknowledges Alicia's behavior and announces that he will clarify the true meaning behind her words. Alicia, realizing his plan, tries to stop him, but he silences her effortlessly. Gray announces that the lady is not criticizing the food. The guests scoff, arguing that a mere attendant has no right to twist her words. But Gray remains unshaken. He explains that Alicia's harsh words are actually her way of expressing gratitude. The room falls into stunned silence. He continues, revealing that her comment about the chef preparing himself is not a threat, but an offer. She wants him to serve under the Osline family. What had seemed like scorn is, in truth, an opportunity. Disbelief shifts into curiosity as the guests process his words. The tension in the air fades, replaced by murmurs of intrigue. And through it all, Alicia remains silent, her expression unreadable. A guest openly questions Gray, doubting if he truly expects them to believe such an absurd claim. But Gray confidently points at the table. It is empty. The meal, meant for 5, has been completely devoured, and Alicia has no companions. The only conclusion is that she ate it all herself. The skeptic falls silent as murmurs spread. Gray, seizing the moment, triumphantly declares that Lady Alicia has finished an entire feast alone, proving she enjoyed it. The chef, who has been trembling, now looks up in astonishment. His voice shakes as he asks if Alicia has never been dissatisfied with his skills. Gray reassures him and, in an authoritative tone, asks if he will serve the Osline family. Before the chef can respond, Alicia places a firm hand on Gray's shoulder, her eyes burning with silent fury. Without a word, she drags him away, much to the crowd's amusement. Even as she pulls him out, Gray continues talking to the chef. The chef, now filled with pride, calls after Alicia, asking if she has any further requests. Her appreciation has given him newfound confidence. Alicia, though visibly irritated, mutters a begrudging thanks. Gray's words linger in her mind. After a pause, she calls out, announcing it is time to leave. She then reminds him, with exasperation, that he has a lot of nerve embarrassing her earlier. Gray, ever unfazed, feigns confusion. Deep inside, Alicia feels gratitude. She will never admit it, but she does not want him to leave her side. This is the story of a cold-hearted noble and her loyal attendant. Gray's memories take him back to childhood, crying over his harsh life. He has no mother and is raised by his alcoholic father alongside his older sister. Each day is a struggle for food. His spirited sister teases him, speaking in an exaggerated noble tone, claiming a rich noble will fall for her, and she will marry into wealth. Gray, excited, asks if that means they will escape their misery. Laughing, his sister jokes that, with his plain looks, he might become a knight or win a noblewoman's favor as a servant. The thought of knighthood thrills him, but his sister reminds him it requires effort. Strength is vital, but understanding a lady's heart is just as important. She dramatically raises a finger and advises, never lie to a lady, always be honest, and wear a fresh smile. If he follows this, no noblewoman can resist him. Gray admires his sister, always thanking her and declaring his love. She scoffs at his praise, but secretly cherishes it, promising to shape him into a great little brother. Now reflecting on those days, Gray sees his naivety. Her dreams have been fantasies she left years ago, and he is stuck with their drunkard father. Returning home, he finds his father as usual, idle and intoxicated. Gray confronts him about the bottle, demanding to know where he got the money. With a sneer, his father reveals he has found Gray's savings under the floorboards. Horror fills Gray as his father laughs, saying he has used it to pay debts. When Gray protests, saying it was for the Night Academy, his father scoffs, telling him to forget it and save again, for his father's sake. Fury surges, and before he knows it, Gray's fist collides with his father's face. The man crashes to the floor. Without a word, Gray storms out, realizing too late he has left with nothing. He wanders the streets, hoping to find a job with food and shelter. Fate intervenes when he spots a notice that Duke's Villa is hiring cleaning staff with high pay, accommodations, and meals. Determined, Gray heads for the Oslin family villa office. Seated before Chief Butler Maya Lorix, he recounts his hardships. She listens, then remarks he is peculiar. He hasn't needed to share so much. Studying him, she asks if he thinks his background will affect his chances or if he seeks sympathy. Gray assures her that isn't his intent, admitting he is just bad at hiding things. Maya considers this before asking if he would be fine working under her. He hesitates but agrees. Suddenly she leans in, so close he can hear her breathing. She asks if he has issues working under a woman. Caught off guard by her beauty, Gray awkwardly replies that given how pretty she is, he might be too motivated at work. Realizing how inappropriate that sounds, he braces for reprimand, but Maya only chuckles, amused by his honesty, and decides to give him a chance. She assures him that hard work matters more than background. The villa faces a labor shortage due to high turnover. Gray's excitement grows, but before he can celebrate, Maya issues a warning. The mansion belongs to Lady Alicia Osline, daughter of Lord Dillon, head of the Osline Duchy. Maya cautions him. Lady Alicia is extremely difficult. She advises him to tread carefully. Gray hesitates before brushing off the warning, confident he can handle it. As he leaves, Maya watches him go, quietly hoping he will last at least a month before being fired. Gray prepares for his new job, ready to face whatever comes next. Gray prepares himself for his new job, dressing in his uniform and marveling at its cleanliness. For the first time since he was born, he wears fresh clothes instead of the dirt-covered rags he has been used to. For a brief moment, he admired himself in the reflection of a polished window, feeling like a nobleman, until someone walks by, takes one look at him, and declares that he has never seen a newbie so in love with their own uniform. Curious, Gray asks the man who he is. The man introduces himself as Mori and explains that he is responsible for showing Gray the ropes. With a friendly tone, Mori extends his hand, and Gray shakes it, introducing himself and expressing his eagerness to work under Mori's guidance. Mori acknowledges him and begins by demonstrating how to clean the windows properly. Mori instructs Gray to wipe evenly and cover all corners. Gray follows carefully, impressing Mori, who jokes that he might learn from Gray instead. Gray explains his past experience as a cleaner, finding it ironic that hard labor is now an advantage. Nearby, two maids chat. One complains that working at a duke's house doesn't require much training, while the other, still new, insists there must be something to learn. Their conversation shifts to personal matters, laughing about a boyfriend's antics. Mori sighs and tells Gray that many workers waste time whispering. Gray wonders how the mansion stays so clean despite this. Mori lowers his voice to share a secret, but before he can, a stern female voice interrupts. Alicia scolds the maids for standing around. Startled, one knocks over a vase, which shatters. Gray asks if they're all right, then looks at Alicia, momentarily stunned by her beauty. The maids apologize, but Alicia, still angry, tells them to leave. When they hesitate, she coldly asks if they have a problem with her. Terrified, they flee. Alicia orders Gray and Mori to clean the mess before walking off. Mori sighs, saying she's as strict as ever, but Gray thinks differently. He believes Alicia has a kind heart. Mori is surprised and jokingly asks if Gray enjoys being ordered around. Gray clarifies that Alicia didn't scold them for the vase, even though it was valuable. He suspects she noticed one of the maids was hurt and wanted her to seek treatment. Mori is skeptical, doubting Alicia's kindness. He finds Gray's view unusual, as most see Alicia as harsh. Gray shrugs, saying she reminds him of his sister. Mori, confused, asks what kind of sister acts like that. Gray doesn't answer and focuses on cleaning. As Alicia walks away, she hears workers gossiping about her. They call her difficult and claim no one likes her. Before she can react, Gray suddenly appears, calling her name. Startled, she flinches and runs away. Gray watches her go, noticing an ointment on the ground, which he picks up. Later, while cleaning outside, Gray asks if Lady Alicia takes all her lessons at the mansion. Mori explains she was suspended from the academy and banned from noble gatherings for making other girls cry. Her father now seeks a husband for her, but all potential fiancés have run away. Rumors say escaping Alicia brings good luck. Gray finds this sad and questions the coincidence of all the men finding new fiancés so quickly. Mori teases him, suggesting Gray is smitten with Alicia. Laughing, he warns Gray that romance between a servant and a noble is impossible. Before Gray can respond, Mori freezes. Alicia is standing right behind them. He panics and flees, leaving Gray alone with Alicia. He nervously greets her, commenting on the fine weather. Alicia studies him before recalling his name. Please, he remembers her. With a smug tone, she states that despite being a commoner, she remembers her servants' names. Gray, impressed, responds with admiration, saying it's natural for someone as sensible as her. Alicia raises an eyebrow, surprised by his reaction. She asks why he keeps smiling. Gray apologizes, but she insists on an answer. Gray confidently replies that he smiles because she is beautiful. Alicia blushes, caught off guard, and stammers, asking why he thinks that. Gray explains that if she truly saw them as mere commoners, she wouldn't bother remembering their names. She listens closely as he tells her she is beautiful inside and out, making it a blessing to serve her. Alicia, looking like a tomato, struggles to find the right words. After regaining her composure, she praises Gray for his positive outlook, to which he agrees. In a hushed tone, she confesses that no one has ever complimented her like that before. Gray hears her, but she quickly denies saying anything. Flustered, Alicia tells him to quit goofing around and focus on work. Gray, snapping to attention, immediately responds with obedience. As she walks away, she acknowledges that the mansion has been cleaner since Gray arrived and encourages him to keep it up. Gray watches her leave with a small smile. That night in her room, Alicia clutches a plush toy and talks to it, pretending it asks why she's so happy. Embarrassed, she insists she's not, but she admits Gray smiled at her today. She plays along with her toy, wondering if he likes her. Flustered, she hugs it tightly and tells it to stop talking, secretly hoping to see Gray again tomorrow. Meanwhile, Gray heads home, reflecting on the day. He hopes to see Lady Alicia again. Whether his kindness will make Alicia obsessed with him remains to be seen. Gray reflects on the events of the past days, recalling how he had fought with his father, then passed the interview with Maya and eventually encountered Lady Alicia. Now Maya informs him that he must accompany Alicia to a ball, a revelation that shocks him. Maya explains that the ball is being held tonight at a certain Marca's residence, and she has been instructed to find the young mistress a partner. Because of this, she is appointing Gray for the task. Still bewildered, Gray questions why he has been chosen, suggesting that someone more experienced, like Mori, would be a better fit. But Maya firmly states that these are Lady Alicia's explicit instructions. She has demanded that she will not attend the ball unless Gray is there with her. Gray is stunned by this revelation, struggling to believe that Alicia actually made such a request. Maya shoots him a sharp look and warns him to ensure that nothing he does tarnishes Alicia's family name. As Gray escorts Alicia to the venue where the ball is taking place, he formally offers his hand to her. Alicia acknowledges his effort, commending him for being particularly diligent today. They enter the grand ballroom, where nobles are already mingling, enjoying each other's company. Gray, taking in the dazzling surroundings, remarks on the grandeur of the place, realizing that this is where aristocrats come to dance. Alicia, unimpressed, scoffs at the noisy atmosphere and reminds Gray not to conduct himself in a way that would disgrace her as her servant. Standing alert, Gray assures her that he will not fail in his duty. Alicia instructs him to follow her closely, and he obediently does so. Meanwhile, among the nobles, some take notice of Alicia's presence and whisper among themselves, surprised to see her at the ball. A young lady remarks on how much Alicia has changed since the last time she saw her. A companion interjects, agreeing but trailing off as if unable to fully express the transformation. Gray, observing Alicia's striking presence, finds himself mesmerized by her beauty, thinking about how she commands attention even in such an extravagant ballroom. He reflects that her presence is captivating for more than just the rumors surrounding the infamous Lady of Frost. A noblewoman named Limeris Carnera, the daughter of a viscount, takes an interest in Alicia's arrival. Beside her stands the daughter of a Marquis, Farah Astral, who mentions that she hasn't seen Alicia in a long time. Alicia notices the two and acknowledges them by name before continuing forward. As she passes, Limerus suddenly addresses her, questioning what could have possibly led to an outcast like Alicia showing up at the ball. Alicia, unfazed, approaches Farah instead, and, with an air of superiority, comments on how she looks exactly the same as always. Farah, taken aback, grows uneasy. Alicia's scrutiny intensifies as she criticizes Farah's outfit, calling it terrible. She mocks her, saying that she looks like a country bumpkin with no sense of fashion, and that if she planned to attend looking like that, she would have been better off staying home. Her sharp words cut deep, bringing Farah to tears. Seeing this, Limerus steps in to defend her friend, yelling at Alicia for her heartless remarks. She demands to know what Alicia could possibly understand about Farah's situation. Angrily, she insists that Farah's dress suits her perfectly. The outburst draws the attention of everyone in the ballroom. Alicia remains composed, standing confidently amidst the murmuring crowd. The spectators begin whispering amongst themselves, commenting on Alicia's shamelessness for humiliating someone in public. Another remarks on how merciless she is, able to mock someone without hesitation. Someone else adds that only the Lady of Frost could behave in such a way. Meanwhile, Limerus tries to console Farah, suggesting that they should leave, assuring her that she will always stand by her side. She reminds Farah that, no matter what, she knows her better than anyone else. Gray observes the entire scene as Farah, through her tears, turns to Alicia and declares that she hates her. She sobs as she tells Alicia that from this moment on she never wants to speak to her again. Alicia, unfazed, responds with indifference, simply stating that as she wishes. Gray observes the entire scene unfolding before him. He suddenly raises his voice, calling out for everyone's attention, and as he speaks, the entire ballroom turns to look at him. With a calm but firm tone, he addresses them all, stating that they have completely misunderstood Lady Alicia's words. His claim stirs confusion among the guests, as they begin to murmur amongst themselves, wondering what they might have misinterpreted. Gray continues, confidently asserting that Lady Alicia is an incredibly kind-hearted person, but she struggles to express her true feelings. Alicia, caught off guard by his words, stares at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend what he is saying. He then explains to everyone that Alicia's true intention was to tell Lady Farah that she would look even more beautiful in a more elegant dress. He even extends an invitation, offering to take her shopping himself. His words leave everyone in stunned silence. Limerus, outraged, snaps at him, demanding that he stop speaking nonsense, insisting that what Alicia had said was clearly an insult. Unfazed by her anger, Gray kneels beside Farah and politely asks if he may ask her some questions. She hesitantly nods, and he proceeds to inquire whether she had personally chosen her dress and makeup. Or was it, perhaps, Lady Limerus who selected them for her? Farah looks surprised but admits that Limerus had indeed chosen everything for her. Gray calmly points out that not just Alicia, but many of the guests present also thought poorly of her appearance. He then reminds her that every time something like this happens, it is always Limerus who comes to her aid, offering comfort. Farah stares at him in shock, wondering how he could possibly know such things. At that moment, Limerus, furious, raises her voice, warning him to stop meddling. She refuses to let him paint her as the villain, angrily reminding everyone that many people have been hurt by Alicia's cruel words in the past. She yells, calling Alicia a pariah and exclaiming that anyone siding with her must be insane. Her words seem to resonate with the crowd, as murmurs of agreement ripple through the ballroom. But Gray stands firm. He looks around at everyone and boldly declares that if no one else will take Alicia's side, then he will. He promises that from now on he will be the one to convey Lady Alicia's true feelings to the world and prove, once and for all, that she is not the Lady of Frost. He speaks with conviction, his gaze locked onto Limerus's, showing that he means every word. Before the situation can escalate any further, Alicia calls out to him, instructing him to step back. He begins to explain himself, but she cuts him off sharply, reminding him of his position. She warns him that any further disorder will bring shame upon House Oslind. Then she turns to face the crowd, her expression composed. She informs them that they will now take their leave and politely requests that everyone pretend they were never there, urging them to continue enjoying the ball as they wish. Without waiting for a response, she exits, and Gray immediately follows behind her. As they leave, Gray apologizes to Alicia, but she only sighs in exasperation. She reprimands him, reminding him that she had warned him not to bring shame upon her. Then she glares at him and scolds him for being far too insolent for a mere house cleaner. She declares that the entire ordeal was the most incredibly horrible experience of her life. However, because of that, she decides something important. She will personally ensure that he learns proper servant etiquette. Gray blinks in surprise at her words, unsure if he heard her correctly. Alicia, without missing a beat, informs him that from now on, he is to stay by her side and serve her at all times. Gray hesitates before asking if this means she is appointing him as her personal servant. At this, Alicia's face turns red, and she suddenly shouts, demanding to know if he has any objections. Gray quickly assures her that he does not. Without another word, Alicia extends her hand toward him. Since she was unable to dance with anyone else that night, she offers him the chance to be her dance partner until her carriage arrives. She warns him that she dislikes repeating herself, so he should accept quickly. Gray, slightly taken aback, takes her hand, and Alicia positions herself gracefully in a dancing stance. However, the moment they begin to move, she quickly notices his lack of skill and bursts into laughter. Teasing him for his awkward steps, she urges him to try a little harder, and under the moonlight, the two of them dance together, sharing an unexpectedly beautiful moment. Later that night, Alicia returns home, changes into her nightwear, and sits on her bed, hugging her beloved teddy bear. She mutters to herself about how cheeky Gray is. Then, in a playful voice, she makes her teddy speak with her voice, pretending that it is commenting on how happy she seems despite her supposed hatred for the ball. Blushing, she argues back, wondering aloud if her teddy wants to hear the full story. Eventually, she gives in and starts talking about how Gray had appeared beside her just when she was about to cry. As she reflects on the night's events, an absurd thought enters her mind. She suddenly gasps in shock and squeals, exclaiming that Gray is like the Prince Charming she has always been waiting for. But the very next second, she shakes her head, dismissing the thought as ridiculous. A commoner like him, a prince? That's too silly. However, she quickly corrects herself, thinking that perhaps calling him her soulmate would be more appropriate. The thought excites her, and she throws herself onto her bed, flailing in embarrassment. She wonders if she is getting ahead of herself, but cannot deny that Gray has stirred something in her heart. Holding her teddy close, she makes up her mind. If she is going to keep him as her servant, then she must properly educate him. Meanwhile, at that very moment, Gray shivers, feeling an eerie chill run through his body, unaware of what is coming his way. Gray is troubled by the events of the ball, convinced he has ruined everything. He regrets his impulsive actions, fearing they may have harmed Lady Alicia's reputation. The thought of anyone speaking ill of her is unbearable, and he vows to be more careful with his words to protect her standing. Reflecting on his past, he recalls the misery of being rejected and forced to endure harsh conditions. His life had been filled with suffering, but Lady Alicia changed everything. Because of her, he has a home and a purpose, so he is willing to do anything for her. Just then, Alicia arrives and takes him along with her. She leads him to the Oslin family office, where she informs Maya that she intends to make Gray her personal servant. Maya, taken aback by the request, questions the unusual demand. Alicia, with determination, clarifies her intentions, stating that she simply means to personally train this impertinent and insolent housecleaner into a proper servant. She moves closer to Maya with slight irritation. Maya, noticing Alicia's unusual behavior, reveals that she is already aware of what happened at the ball. She mentions that she has read the overly detailed report that their foolishly honest housecleaner wrote. Meanwhile, Alicia, unfazed, playfully pinches Gray's cheeks and exclaims to Maya that now she must understand just how much of a fool Gray is. She insists that as his master, she cannot simply leave such a hopeless servant unattended. Gray, though slightly hurt by her words, remains silent. Maya, seeing the situation, suggests that if Gray is truly such a hopeless servant, then Alicia should dismiss him. Gray, realizing where the conversation is going, begins to think that he is about to be fired. Alicia makes it crystal clear. Firing a servant on the spot is not the high-class move to make. She believes a little patience goes a long way. Upon hearing this, Gray and Maya exchange secretive glances. Catching Alicia's attention, she wastes no time in calling them out, leading to some awkward denials. Maya finally breaks down, admitting that Gray does have his good points. She even suggests he could be useful as Alicia's translator to smooth out any misunderstandings. Who knew Gray had hidden talents beyond just being diligent and loyal? Gray's eyes widen in shock at Maya's words, but before he can react, she slams her hand on the table and demands an explanation from Alicia. In utter disbelief, she screeches at Alicia, Wondering if she's actually considering sharing not just meals, but even a bedroom with Gray, she questions if Alicia has gone completely bonkers. Unperturbed, Alicia coolly explains that a noble mustn't be held back by mundane logic. She boldly states that moving forward requires shedding those shackles. Maya, now beyond irritated, shoots back that this has nothing to do with nobility, but is plain inappropriate for a young lady like Alicia. So what's the deal, Alicia? Turning to Gray, she remarks that Alicia may just be overwhelmed with excitement from making her first real friend, but her sense of personal space is utterly absurd. Alicia pretends to scoff in disgust, questioning how she could ever befriend a commoner. She dismisses the idea as gross and utterly repulsive. Deciding to put an end to the argument, Maya proposes a test to determine whether Gray is truly fit to be Alicia's personal servant. She states that they should begin by assessing his tea brewing skills, as a personal servant should at least be capable of that much. As the gossip session unfolds, poor Gray finds himself stuck in the middle, playing servant while the two fancy ladies chatter away. He reflects on his humble upbringing, where even clean water was a luxury. Realizing he must imitate the maid's tea-making skills, he reluctantly brews a cup for Maya, hoping for a compliment. But alas, Maya doesn't mince words. She launches into a lengthy tirade about the lukewarm water, skimpy tea leaves, and noisy cup placement. She lectures him on the importance of flawless service, criticizing his posture and confidence. Ouch, talk about a harsh review. Hearing this overwhelming critique, Gray collapses in defeat. Maya, unfazed, continues, stating that at his current level, it is far too soon to entrust him with the role of a personal servant. Alicia quickly realizes Maya is nitpicking to interfere with her rightful master-servant relationship with Gray. Cutting her off, she asserts that training Gray is necessary precisely because he lacks experience. Unfazed, Maya clarifies she never expected perfection from the start. Without hesitation, she announces the next test. When Alicia questions her, Maya smirks, reminding her she never said there would be only one. She then turns to Gray and explains that as Alicia's personal servant, he should naturally be capable of assisting her with everything, from her daily preparations to even helping her change her clothes. Gray, in complete shock, asks if he is truly expected to do such tasks. Gray's thoughts spiral, but Maya interrupts, teasingly asking if he's thinking something inappropriate. He quickly denies it, insisting he would never. Maya then shifts the focus, stating that since maids already handle Alicia's wardrobe, they will instead evaluate his skill in brushing her hair. Alicia, already seated, prepares herself, waiting for Gray to proceed. He hesitates for a moment before seeking her permission. Alicia, with a sense of amusement and authority, responds without hesitation, telling him to go ahead. As Gray brushes Alicia's hair, he is captivated by its silky smoothness and pleasant fragrance, momentarily lost in thought. Unbeknownst to him, Maya watches intently from behind. Regaining focus, he asks Alicia for her thoughts, and she acknowledges his skill, reminiscing about her childhood when her sister would force her to style her hair. His hands glide gently until he encounters resistance near her ear. Noting the obstruction, he asks for permission to remove it. As his touch lingers, Alicia feels an unfamiliar sensation, a sudden wave of calm washing over her, leaving her unexpectedly at ease. Observing this interaction, Maya interjects with an analytical tone. She acknowledges Gray's grasp of the basics, but advises that since Alicia's hair is so soft, he must be even more delicate. She steps forward, demonstrating the proper technique by touching Alicia's hair while explaining. It him to grow visibly nervous. Sensing his reaction, she moves even closer and points out his stiffness, urging him to pay more attention and learn properly. Leaning toward him, she questions his ability to remain composed, calling him a hopeless servant. Seeing Gray flustered, Alicia abruptly rises, her voice sharp with irritation. She demands to know what Maya is doing to him. Maya remains unfazed and asserts that while she has been considering allowing Gray to handle Alicia's daily needs, at this rate she cannot entrust her to him. If he were ever to cross any lines, she would have no choice but to report it to Alicia's father. Alicia scoffs at the notion, challenging Maya's ability to report anything. With a smirk, she questions if Maya truly believes she would allow such a thing. Maya, in turn, reminds Alicia of her status, stating that as her father's exclusive servant, threats mean nothing to her. Eager to show what he's made of, Gray boldly assures Maya that she has nothing to fear. He boldly states that as a humble commoner, he would never dream of touching someone of Alicia's esteemed stature. Alicia, upon hearing this, simply turns away, her emotions shrouded in mystery. After hearing his response, Maya decides to put his commitment to the test. She bluntly reminds him that any repeat of last night's fiasco could destroy Alicia's rep forever. She questions if he's ready to keep playing translator, despite the risky spot it puts him in. Gray zones in as she elaborates on how crucial his role is for Alicia, who struggles to articulate herself, yet he's aware that being her mouthpiece also leaves him vulnerable to being kicked to the curb. His actions from the previous night had already danced on the edge of acceptability. If he falters now, it's game over. Facing Maya, Gray confesses his doubts. His protective instincts drove him to step in the night before, but when it comes to whether he's up for the challenge, he's suddenly not so sure. He reassures Maya, though, that he does not wish to lose his position or disgrace House Oslind. He regrets his provocative words from the ball, but ultimately wants others to see Alicia for who she truly is and learn to love her as he does. His earnest declaration leaves Alicia blushing once more, and Maya acknowledges his sincerity. She tells him that for now she will trust his words, but warns that she will be watching him closely. Before Gray can fully process the exchange, Alicia's voice reaches him, her tone sharp. She questions whether he truly believes he would never lay a hand on her, commenting that it seems he still lacks awareness. She suggests that perhaps a little lecture is in order. Without warning, she grabs his hand tightly and leads him outside. Under the shade of a grand tree, they sit together. Gray grows increasingly nervous, noting how close they have become. He voices his concern, suggesting they might be ignoring Maya's orders. Alicia, without hesitation, tells him to stay quiet and remain still. She continues to hold his hand, her body lightly pressing against him. After a brief silence, Alicia speaks. She tells Gray that he is a peculiar person. Since childhood, she has struggled to express herself honestly. The only person who ever truly understood her was her mother, who is now gone. She has been hated by many, resigned to spending the rest of her life alone. Her hand gently reaches for Gray's face as she softly tells him that he is the only one who sees her for who she really is, not as the cold and distant Lady of Frost, but as Alicia Oslind. Gray gazes at her in awe, as if he has never seen anyone more beautiful in his life. He listens intently to her heartfelt words, deeply moved. Alicia then declares that she will never let him go. He belongs to her now, and she expects him to prioritize her above everything else. Gray's mind drifts to the hardships of his past, the days when he was nothing more than an outcast, treated as a beggar and despised by all. Lowering his head, he hesitantly asks if she truly means what she says. In a soft, sincere voice, Alicia affirms it, explaining that throughout her life, no one has ever made her feel truly needed. Upon hearing this, Gray lifts his head, his eyes brimming with tears. Alicia teases him, scolding him for crying and making it seem as if she were bullying him. He quickly wipes his face and apologizes. Sighing, Alicia remarks that he leaves her no choice. Taking his face gently in her hands, she pulls him into an embrace, holding him against her chest as she soothingly pats his head. She reassures him with a warm voice, telling him to stop crying and calling him a good boy. Gray, overwhelmed by the comfort and warmth of her embrace, is left speechless. Alicia, noticing his silence, prompts him to say something. He finally manages to respond, admitting that in this moment, he feels 1,000,000 times better. The next morning arrives. Alicia remains in bed, comfortably wrapped in her elegant nightgown. She is not a morning person, and Gray steps in to wake her. As she slowly stirs, she sleepily beckons him closer. Still drowsy, she half-heartedly suggests that he carry her. Gray, immediately blushing, hesitates and insists that she get up on her own. Thus their unique and unlikely love story, a romance between a noble and a commoner, reaches a happy turning point. However, as Alicia seems intent on testing Gray's unwavering loyalty every morning, it appears his devotion will continue to be challenged in new and unexpected ways.